Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhare Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhare Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yamunatira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Vishnavad Paramahansa Parivrajacharis Tadas Sisamad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Kanayalal Ki Shishi Gauni Tai Ki Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Sankirtan Yagya Ke Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So devotees, what's happening? Something. Does this thing work? Not really. Anyway, we just, oops. It does work. It doesn't work. Anyway, we will. It's too heavy. We can pull the thing. We will do microphone stand prayers. Just, okay. Yeah. Anyway, we will pray to the Lord. Hare Krishna, devotees, Hari Bol. I'm very happy to be here with you. And I hope everyone's happy in Krishna consciousness. And everyone is just well. Saukyamaha. Saukyam? Okay, that's good. Me too. I'm sorry, my Tamil is just very limited. If I was to give class in Tamil, it would be very short. 1 minute. But really, I'm very happy to be here. I've been here a number of times. I can't remember how many, but 3 or 4 times. Actually, I first came many years ago. There was no temple. A long time, 20 years or something. Bhakti Vrajendra Nandan Maharaj, if you remember him. He and I, we knew each other in London. I joined in London, and he did also before me. And so that was 73 that I joined, 7th of January, as Prabhu said, 50 years ago. So he was already there, and he was one of the senior brahmacharis and book distributor. And so we knew each other. We were living in the same temple for few years until he came, or maybe anyway, for a few years, for some years. So we knew each other very well. And then he came here, and he was staying here, and he kept asking me when we'd meet in Mayapur, maybe 3 or 4 times, because we were both going every year to Mayapur. So he'd always ask me and tell me I must come to Malaysia. So after a while, he kept insisting. So I agreed and I came. And I thought, it's mainly Indian population of devotees. And I thought that I can speak little, very little, but something, Hindi. And I thought, I will speak Hindi, little. But then I found out that the Indian people speak Tamil. So, anyway, Hare Krishna. But it's really nice to be here. I was last here 4 years ago, just around Gorpunima, just after the GBC meetings I came. And for a few years I was doing that. So last time was 2019. Yeah. And I've always been so impressed with this beautiful temple. It is a real jewel. It really is. We've got many big temples in ISKCON here and there. In India there's so many. But this is really, it's got real sort of character and mood to it. So I like coming. Yeah, and Shiva Chaitanya Prabhu is here. I like getting his association. Anyway, here I am, for better or for worse. So I asked Shiva Chaitanya Prabhu, because I'm here in my capacity as his servant. I asked him, what should we talk about? And he said, devotional service. And so I took it as an order. So we will say some words about devotional service. Yes. So therefore, in that regard, I am going to read a verse from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita as it is. I'll read from chapter 11, the universal form, and I'll read verse 54. I'll just read it myself. Yeah, so 11:54, Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So here we go. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya aham evam vidorjuna gyatum drashtum chatatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Translation. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. It's such an important verse, so fundamental and foundational in Krishna consciousness. Let us just repeat it responsively, okay? If you can just repeat after me, please. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am. For you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Right now, there's a long purport. It's a big purport. I won't read the whole thing. I'll read a little bit. Yeah. So, Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explains this in this verse, so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents in a four-handed form and at once changed himself into a two-handed form. These things are very difficult to understand by study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penance in accordance with those principles. For example, to undergo serious penances, one may observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadashi, the 11th day after the new moon, and the 11th day after the full moon. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna who are engaged in his devotional service to spread the Krishna philosophy or Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most munificent man of charity because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. So if one gives some amount of his money to persons involved in distributing Krishna consciousness, that charity given to spread Krishna consciousness is the greatest charity in the world. And if one worships as prescribed in the temple, as this family is doing here, it's so nice. Yes, in the temples in India, there's always some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna. That is a chance to progress by offering worship and respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the beginners in devotional service to the Lord, temple worship is essential. And this is confirmed in the Vedic literature. Anyway, so there you go, devotees. I mean, there's a lot more. Well, let me just finish. This is the first paragraph. So this is the temple worship. That temple worship is essential, is confirmed in the Vedic literature, Shvedashvatara Upanishad, chapter 6, verse 23. Yasya deve para bhaktiya, yata deve tata gurau, tasyaite katita hyarta, prakashante mahatmana. So this is, now Prabhupada gives, it's sort of a, well, it is a translation actually of this particular verse. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master, in whom he has similar unflinching faith. So that person can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word tu, Sanskrit word tu, it means but. The word tu is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. Isn't that wonderful? It's just amazing. It's just so totally, vitally important. Let me read the verse again. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya ahamevam vidorjana gyatum drashtum chatatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Niravishesha Shunyavadi Pastyachade Shatarne Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respects to all the devotees who are assembled here particularly. So you know, it's not a small subject. It's a really big subject, but it's a very beautiful subject, and there are many perspectives on it, many different ways of appreciating the verse and the point, the basic point of the verse about only by devotional service. I don't know what the Tamil word is for only. What's the Tamil word for only? You don't speak Tamil? Really? Oh my Lord. Sorry? Punjabi. Punjabi. Oh, he's... Excuse me. What's the Tamil word for only? Come on, tell me. You're... Adimatum. Oh, that's interesting. Adimatum. Okay. Adimatum by devotional service. I've learnt a new word. I must write it down and use it. All right. Right, so devotional service. And in principle, it's an easy point, not a difficult point to understand. That if you want to please someone, if you want to make someone happy, then you should do something for them. You should take some trouble to do some service for them. And if someone does service for you, then it is very difficult to refuse them if they make a request of you. Because service really captures the heart of a person. So, and Krishna is a person. Krishna is very much a person. Srila Prabhupada made the point that, well, Srila Prabhupada asked the question, like rhetorically, means it's not really a question, but it's being presented like that. Prabhupada said, what is Krishna consciousness? What is it? And then he answered himself. And Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is the development of a personal relationship with Krishna. Shri Krishna Kanaya Lal Gaur Nitai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Jai. So Prabhupada, yes, answered the question. Krishna consciousness means developing a personal relationship with Krishna, but it is disguised as a process. It looks like a process. You do this, you don't do that, you do something else, you don't do another thing. You know what I mean? It's a process. You know, like a system. But actually it's not. Well, even Prabhupada referred to as a process on many occasions. But really the essence, if you really get into it, what is like the essence of it? It's the development of a personal relationship with Krishna. And he's a person. And just like most people, Krishna responds to service if we do something for him. Actually, Srila Jiva Goswami, one of our great acharyas, he makes the point that even though Krishna is so great, he's so big, Jiva Goswami says, even though Krishna is so big, he is like an unlimited ocean, but he never forgets even the smallest drop of service. He's like an ocean. He's bigger than the Pacific Ocean or all the oceans on this planet put together. He's bigger. He's much, much bigger. But because he's a person and he's very, very personal, He never forgets even the smallest drop of service done, even by someone who is, not much of a devotee. Like, the story of Putana. I'm sure we've all heard of Putana witch, the demon Putana. Actually, I mentioned this a few days ago somewhere else, I forget where, but I will repeat it. That Putana, in her previous life, she was the daughter of Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj is described in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, it's a long story. It's a very long story, actually, but in simple terms, Bali Maharaj, he was able to defeat Indra in battle, Indra and the demigods, and take over the heavenly planets. And he kicked them out. All the devas and devis, they got kicked out, and they actually became homeless. Seriously, they became homeless. They had no homes. So, Aditi, who is the mother of Indra and company, she did a special prayer to Krishna, please come and correct the situation and reinstall my son, my children in the heavenly planets. So therefore Krishna appeared as Lord Vamana. Lord Vamana, little Brahmin boy, like our little boy here from the Punjab. Aapka naam, tumhara naam kya hai, beta? What is your good name? Govardhan. Govinda Hari. What a nice name for a nice boy. And what is your age? Kitna Sal. 8. Oh, you're a big boy. Gee. When Lord Vamana came in to the assembly of Bali Maharaj in the heavenly planets, he was, of course, he's God, so you can't really put an age on him. But he was basically like a 5-year-old child, just a little boy. And you know what children are like when they're nice, when they're in a good mood. Yeah, a little 5-year-old boy, and he was dressed as a brahmachari, saffron, and he even had a little danda. Yeah. And he looked just, little boy, looked so nice. And he looked very saintly and sweet. And when this daughter of Bali Maharaj saw him, she was just young. She was, doesn't say exactly, but, at that age where the little girls play with dolls, they play at being mothers. The motherly instinct is generally very strong amongst females of humans and other species too. So little girls, they play with dolls. And so anyway, she was that age, somewhere around that age. And she saw this beautiful little boy. He just looked outstanding, completely, just perfect, beautiful little boy. So she immediately, just spontaneously, she thought, This boy is so nice. I want to have this little boy as my son. She thought like that, very strongly. But, Lord Vamana then, very shortly after, maybe 5 or 10 minutes or something later, Lord Vamana, on the plea, he told, Bali Maharaj said, tell me what you want, it's yours. Just tell me. And Vamana said, I want as much land as I can cover by 3 of my steps. No, not your steps, and not your steps, and not Bali Maharaj's steps, but my steps. And Bali Maharaj tried to sort of, not joke with him, but kind of mock him, that you're just a little boy. You don't know the value of things. 3 steps of land. Bali Maharaj is thinking, 5-year-old boy, 3 steps of land. It won't even be 2 meters. 1.5 meters or less. It's just, it's nothing. And he says, you don't understand the value of things. I'll give you a planet. Okay, you want a planet? No, 3 steps of land. I'll give you a country. I'll give you Malaysia. No, I don't even want Singapore. I'll give you a town. I'll give you, where are we? Butterworth, is it? Where are we? Suranjaya. Anyway, that town. Yeah. This town. I'll give you. Go on. Take something of value. But then Lord Vamana spoke very, profound statement. If I cannot be satisfied with 3 steps of land, then I couldn't be satisfied if I got the whole universe. That's profound. So Bali Maharaj, he gave up. He said, all right, you take your 3 steps of land. But anyway, we know what happened. He expanded himself, and with his first step covered the lower and middle planetary systems, and his second step, the heavenly planetary systems. And that's it. That's all there is in the universe. There's nothing more. And then Lord Vamana said, listen, you told me, you give me 3 steps of land. You've only given me 2. You're a cheater. So he arrested him and tied him up with the ropes of Varuna. Just like Lord Vishnu has his chakra, Varuna has his ropes. Very powerful. So he did. He tied him up. And when this girl, her name was Ratnavali, the daughter of Bali Maharaj, when she saw this, she thought, she was shocked, and she just felt so offended. And she thought to herself, all right, maybe I'll have this child as my son, but if I do, I'll kill him. And in her next life, she was born as Putana. And you know the story. She tried to kill Krishna. She came in and saw little Krishna in the cradle. He was only maximum 3 months, something less. Because when he killed, at least according to the Bhagavatam, the next demon he killed, at least which is recorded, is Shakatasura. He's the second demon. And Krishna was 3 months at that point. So he was somewhat younger at that point. And she saw this little, Putana saw this beautiful little boy just lying there, Krishna. And momentarily, a little remembrance came from the previous lifetime, like a little flash, more or less. Just maybe 1 second, maybe 2 seconds maximum. Oh, what a beautiful little boy. Little motherly feeling came. But then, after, 1 or 2 seconds, she forgot about it. And just that demoniac mood, I'm going to kill him. It came back, and she tried, but he killed her, as we know. Now the thing is, though, in this regard, in regard to our point is devotional service, and how wonderful it is. And even, I mentioned what Srila Jiva Goswami said, that Krishna never forgets even a drop of service. So Krishna, when he killed Putana, he sent her to Goloka Vrindavan. And she is there now. So when all you nice devotees from ISKCON TODU, Todo, when you all go back to Goloka Vrindavan, soon, at the end of this life, just keep up as you're doing, just keep it up, then you may meet Putana at the entranceway. And she may say, you know who I was before I came? I was Putana. Welcome to Goloka Vrindavan. She's a nanny. So anyway, so the question is there. If she's so bad, she actually tried to kill Krishna. I mean, she really tried. But Krishna, the thing is, Krishna, not just Krishna, but devotional service is so wonderful that Krishna appreciates very deeply. Not just like, oh, thanks a lot, or something like that. But he appreciates so deeply even a little devotional service that on the basis of that little thought for 1 second, you know what 1 second's like? Like 1 second. That's 1 second, more or less. 2 seconds. That's about 2 seconds. Then he accepted her and gave her a place in Goloka Vrindavan. And he just overlooked. He didn't even see her terrible, terrible state of mind. It was too terrible that she wanted to kill him. Just didn't even take it into consideration or didn't even see it. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says of Lord Nityananda, Dati, what is it? Dati, anyway, Lord Nityananda is so merciful. Jati Dan Vidya Bala. Jati Dan Vidya Bala. Your birth, your wealth, Vidya, your knowledge, means, what you learnt at school, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, and all that. Jatidan Vidya Bala, and your strength, if you're powerful. Lord Nityananda, na kore apeksha. Na kore apeksha. He doesn't even see it. Not that he sees it and thinks, oh, it doesn't matter so much. He doesn't even see it. All he sees is, what is it? How does it go? Jatidan Vijabala Nakare. Anyway, all he sees is if, when you chant the name Gora, if one tear comes from your eye, one, not even two, just one tear comes from your eye when you chant the name Gora, then Jatidan Vijabala Nakare Apeksha. So Krishna's like that. Lord Nityananda is Krishna after all. Yes, so Krishna's like that. So what was her devotional service? It was just mental. It was just a thought for a second. What a beautiful little child. And a little motherly feeling. But Krishna accepted that and just didn't even bother with all the nonsense, the serious nonsense. So this is Krishna, and this is what devotional service is. So therefore, we should really get into our devotional service. First thing is, we should have some devotional service, and like regular service. Regular service. You know, when I joined the temple in London, January the 7th, 1973, as we said already. You know what my first service was? Regular, like every day. First of all, for a few days, I just helped out in this way or that. My first regular service was devotees and friends. I was made the pot washer in the kitchen. The pot washer. And in that temple in London, we were so poor. We had no hot water. And it was January the 7th, means midwinter. And midwinter in London is a lot colder than it is here. You know, I mean, it wasn't snowing, but it was probably like 5-6 degrees. It really is cold, actually. And we had no hot water, and for washing the pots, we had no soap. We just had these metal pads. Yeah, and you just had to, and big pots, because there were 60 devotees living in the temple, and I had to wash all the pots. Wow. Talk about a big job. It was such a big job that after about a week, they gave me an assistant, someone who had just joined a couple of days after me. So he became my assistant. I got promoted. I was now the chief pot washer. My first managerial post in ISKCON. Well, really, it's a fact, actually. So, yeah. So, but the thing is, devotional service is so valuable and so wonderful. We should try to appreciate our good fortune and really make the most of it. Actually, it is not easy, because the good fortune we've got by being given devotional service is so great, you just cannot calculate it. Yeah, but we should try. Okay, so, you know, there's a few points and there's a few stories. We've got Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, etc., all of our different books. And there's all sorts of interesting stories which make interesting and important points. They're like Krishna consciousness in action, you could say. That's what the stories are. They're not just stories, but they're illustrating, they're actual descriptions of actual events in the course of which certain points are made about devotional service, about Krishna consciousness. Like, I'm sure you know, the story of Ajamil, 6th canto. You must know that. You ladies, you know that story? You read Bhagavatam? Okay. Story of Ajamil. He was so bad. I mean, he was not as bad as Putana, actually, but he really was bad. But somehow, when in his older age, when his wife gave birth to a son, they named the child Narayan. I mean, you all know the story, I imagine. So not like our parents, your parents, Govinda Hari, Prabhu, when they gave you your name, they were thinking, I think they were thinking, I can read your mind a bit, that they were thinking, it's a nice Krishna conscious name, it'll be good for him. Right, of course. And it's true. But now, Ajamil, he was not thinking like that. He was living in the culture, and it was just a popular name, that's all. Like, I'm brought up in, very Western culture. In New Zealand, I was born. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Kanaya Lal, Shri Gonatai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Jaya. So I was given the name of an English king, because it was just the culture. It was the culture. Yeah. So he was given the name Narayan. They were not thinking, a nice name of God. So he'll be hearing the name of God whenever people talk to him. Not at all. It was just a popular name. And when a lot of Indian people, don't mind me saying this, but it's an interesting point in this regard. When they go and live in like really Western countries, Malaysia is not exactly a really Western country. I mean, it's wealthy like Western countries, but the people are not like Americans, British, French. They're really very different. So, yeah, but in South Africa, it was a very white-dominated culture up until a few years ago. Yeah, the white people, European people, were just dominating everyone and everything. So the Indians, there are many Indians, like at least 1 million or probably between 1 and 2 million in South Africa. But many, many, many of them, I don't know if it's 50% or what, they've adopted English names. So I met this one man. When I first arrived, I asked him, what's your name? And he said, my name is Krishna Gopal Govinda. Because Govinda or Govinda, they pronounce it, is a common family name amongst Indian people there. My name is Krishna Gopal Govinda, but everyone calls me Fred. You see, it's the culture. People adopt names just in terms of whatever is the culture, like the dominant culture. Anyway, so they called the child Narayan, and you know the story. Ajamil was dying, the Yamadutas came, and he was just in total shock and horror and bewilderment, and he didn't know what to do. So all that just came into his mind, just like that, was to call for his, at the time, 5-year-old son. So he called out, "Narayan, Narayan, help, Narayan," meaning his 5-year-old child. What his 5-year-old child was going to do against a gang of Yamadutas, don't ask me. But he didn't think about that. He didn't think about anything. It was spontaneous. Yeah. But then he was saved just by that. He was saved. And the Vishnu Dutas came, they chased away the Yamadutas. And then Ajamil did not die, but the impact of the event was such that he became a devotee. And he went to Haridwar, and not long after he did die, in Krishna consciousness, and he went back to Godhead. So, Krishna consciousness, just a little, is so advantageous. So advantageous. Therefore, we should really make a point of getting into it. And therefore, as I was saying, everyone, I know many of you are not living in the temple, but everyone, devotee, particularly if you're initiated, or even if you're not, but if you're trying to practice and take it seriously, everyone should have some regular service that you're able to do. Even if you can only come on Sunday and you can't come any other time, then at least get some regular service on Sunday, because that's how to get the nectar. It's also good if you just come on Sunday, if you just sit in the class and take part in the kirtan and then eat prasadam. It's also good. It's not bad. It's good. But if you get some regular service, it is much better. It really becomes multiplied. We used to, when I first joined there in London, there was a joke we had, because there were some people who had neck beads, and even some were initiated, but some people, they would only come on Sunday, but they would only come at the end of the arti, after the class, just before prasadam. Just when the pujari was waving the fan to the deities, they would arrive, like expertly timed. So we had a joke. We called them, I don't know if, I think you'll get this, we called them Krishna's Fan Club. Do you get it? Fans, fans of, like Aishwarya and Abhishek. They have their fans, people who like them. So Krishna's Fan Club. It's better than nothing. It's a lot better than nothing, actually. But if you get some regular service, it's so much better than that. So, let me tell you another story, a different story. You're familiar, I imagine you're familiar with the story of when Krishna entered Mathura. when Krishna left Vrindavan, entered Mathura, with Balaram, with the cowherd boys, they were invited by Kamsa to take part in a wrestling match. So when they first arrived, and they're just moving around the city and looking at this and looking at that, and they met a washerman, a dobiwala, a washing man, who was actually Kamsa's laundryman, and he had a whole basket of freshly washed cloth of Kamsa's. Kamsa is the king, so it's the best quality cloth, just the best. Freshly washed, and he's taking it back to the palace so Kamsa can now, the king, can wear it. And Krishna stopped him. And Krishna, you know, our Krishna, he's a character. He's a real character, Krishna. Krishna stopped the washing man. You know, Krishna gets into different moods depending on which devotees he is with. I mean, I'm now talking about in Vrindavan. When he's with the parental devotees, he's more like the little boy. Yeah. When he's with the gopis, the cowherd girls, then he's, you know, a flashy young fellow trying to attract their minds, you know, in that sort of way. And when he's with the cowherd boys, he's a tough guy. He's tough, because they're all like that. They're tough guys. So here now Krishna's with the cowherd boys, and he sees this man with all this beautiful cloth, and he just walked straight in front of him, and he said, "Hey, you, Babu, wouldn't you like to give us boys this cloth?" Nodding his head. "Wouldn't you like to?" Yeah? He's the tough guy. And the laundryman, you know, he's Kamsa's laundryman, so he's a bit of a demon. And he looked at these little boys, you know, they're all like, they're about your age, Govinda Hari, maybe 10 years, 11 years, not much bigger. And this man who thinks he's important sees them, and he says to Krishna, "You know, I think what would be most suitable for you boys would be if you went into the forest and took find some big leaves or some bark off some trees and use that for clothes." In other words, he's just insulting them. You know, you're just useless people. And of course, you know, to say something like that to Krishna, that's a mistake. That was a big mistake. And Krishna did not appreciate it at all. So Krishna, with his one hand, the back of his one hand, he slapped him in the face. Whack. And the man's head fell off. And that was the end of the laundryman. It's a famous little story. Now, interesting point. Listen to this. Maybe you're aware, or some of you are aware, or I don't know, maybe all of you are aware. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, Lord Chaitanya tells this story to Lord Nityananda and some other associates. He tells the story. And at this point in the story where Krishna whacks him in the face and his head falls off, Lord Chaitanya tells Lord Nityananda and the devotees, Lord Chaitanya says, this laundryman performed severe austerities for hundreds of lifetimes just so he could see God. And there he is, he saw God. Krishna, he saw God. But because he was not a devotee, because he was doing austerities, very strict and hard, self-denial, that sort of thing, his heart was hard. So he saw God. But when he saw God, because he had a hard heart, he offended the Lord. And, it's interesting. Sometimes devotees ask, well, what happened to the washerman then when Krishna killed him? What happened? All I can say is, Lord Chaitanya does not talk about that. And in Bhagavatam, it also doesn't talk about that. Yes. So, that's an interesting point. Devotion, the development of love, or at the very least, the development of a willingness to render service, and to really, when you do the service, to really think, how can I do this service nicely? How can I do it so Krishna will be pleased? This is what we need to do. First of all, we need to get some service. Then we need to do it nicely with a really positive attitude, favorable attitude. And if you're familiar with that story there, at least from the 10th canto, then Krishna and the cowherd boys, they took all the cloth, because now the man's dead. So they just took all the cloth and put it on, and they're showing off. Look at me with some fancy silk dhoti and kurta. Look at me. So, but then they carried on and they met one florist, a garland maker. His name was Sudama. He's not Sudama the Brahmin, but he's another Sudama. And they stopped, and Krishna stopped him too and said, oh, you got such nice flowers. Wouldn't you like to make some garlands for us cowherd boys? Yes. I learnt this when I was distributing books in London. When you're distributing books to people on the street, nod your head. It helps develop a positive mood in the mind of the person you're distributing to. So, but now this Sudama, he was nice. Actually, those flowers were for garlands for Kamsa also. But he immediately said, yes, I'd be happy to do that. And he quickly made some garlands and garlanded Krishna and all the cowherd boys. So now they've got these nice clothes and beautiful garlands. And just because of that, Krishna tells him, you can see in the 10th canto, Krishna tells him, I bless you. You will live happily for the rest of your life. And at the end of this life, you'll come back to me in Goloka Vrindavan. Yes, just from that. It's not a big thing. It maybe took him 10 minutes to quickly make some garlands, and he just gave them. So devotional service, it's really, really wonderful. And let me just do a time check. What time must we go till? Or stop? 10? 11? Okay. Or something. We'll see. You know, there's another story which actually did I tell it yesterday? No. Day before, I think. But let me tell it again. It's one of my favorites about devotional service. And, you know, like more advanced devotional service. Here we just talked about people who just did little bit of service, you know, like that. Like a jar meal and company. So, but how about something more advanced? The impact more advanced devotional service has on Krishna. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela somewhere, I forget exactly where, but assuming you've got it, you can look it up, it's easy to find. It explains how Lord Chaitanya, during the rainy season one year, when he was touring South India, Lord Chaitanya was in Tamil Nadu. And, you know, I don't doubt Lord Chaitanya can speak Tamil. So don't worry. If you can only speak Tamil, don't worry. When you go back to Goloka Vrindavan, you'll be able to speak with Krishna because he speaks Tamil. He's fluent. Yeah. So anyway, he was there in Tamil Nadu in Sri Rangam. Maybe some of you have been to Sri Rangam, biggest temple in India at least. And, you know, it's really quite a place. So Lord Chaitanya was going in, visiting, having darshan of the deity every day, few times every day. And as he'd walk in, there's a hall. If you're familiar with Sri Rangam, you would know. Just before you enter sort of the altar area, there's a big hall with Garuda. And Lord Chaitanya saw on one side of the hall there's this man, devotee, sitting with a book, looking at the book. And every time, morning, afternoon, evening, the man's there. He's just there with the book. Like every day, all day. So Lord Chaitanya was interested, you know, what's going on there? But then he noticed sometimes local people would walk past that man with the book and speak to him and then laugh, like they're mocking him, like they're making a joke about him, like he's stupid. And Lord Chaitanya couldn't understand why they're doing that. And then he noticed sometimes the man is looking at the book. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Kanaya Lal Shri Shri Gaunitai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Jai. Sometimes the man's looking at the book and tears of love are coming from his eyes. And Lord Chaitanya could not understand. So he went and spoke to the man. And he said, "What are you doing here?" And the man said, "Well, you know, my spiritual master, he told me, he ordered me, I must read Bhagavad Gita every day. So here I am, this is Bhagavad Gita, and I'm here every day." And Lord Chaitanya said, "Well, that's very good. That's really good. But tell me, why is it some of the other local people come by occasionally, and they speak to you, and then they laugh at you, like you're doing something stupid?" And the man said, "Well, actually, the thing is, they know me. They're local people, they know me, and they know I am illiterate. I cannot read or write. And they know I've got the book, I'm just looking at the pages. And sometimes they ask me, 'Oh, Panditji, what verse are you reading?' And I don't know. And they laugh at me. So then Lord Chaitanya said, well, all right, but why is it sometimes that I see you looking at the Bhagavad Gita and tears of spiritual ecstasy are coming from your eyes? I remember when Prabhupada made his last visit to Bhaktivedanta Manor in England, 1977, Prabhupada would be carried down into the temple room. We'd have Guru Puja and Kirtan. He's just sitting there on the thing that they carried him down on in front of his Vyasasan. And he just watched the devotees in the Kirtan, and tears would come. And they just run down, and come down to the bottom of his chin and just drip, drip, drip off his chin. It was really amazing to see. Anyway, Lord Chaitanya asked this man, what's happening? You can't read it, but I see tears of ecstasy coming from your eyes. What is it? And the devotee said, the thing is that sometimes I look at the cover on the book of Bhagavad Gita, and there is the picture of Lord Krishna driving the chariot of Arjuna. And Arjuna is ordering him, go this way, go that way, go faster, go slower, turn around. And Krishna's doing it. He's being ordered by his devotee. Normally, the devotee should be ordered around by Krishna or in Krishna's service. But here Krishna is being ordered by the devotee, and he's doing it very nicely. And so the devotee said, when I look at this picture, and I think how merciful is Krishna, driving the chariot. To be a driver is just an ordinary job. It's not some like being the managing director or, something like that. It's just very basic level job. But he's doing it for his devotee. And Krishna didn't complain, listen, I'm God, okay? Don't ask me to drive your chariot, it's inappropriate. He never said that, he just did it. So the devotee says, when I look at this picture and I think of how kind Krishna is to his devotee, I just become overwhelmed. I can't help myself. I just cry. Krishna's so kind. And Lord Chaitanya told him that you may not have read Bhagavad Gita, but you have understood Bhagavad Gita. You've understood it. And then Lord Chaitanya said, actually, you are the authority on Bhagavad Gita. You are the authority. So, this is obviously a much more advanced level of devotion. And the thing is, like Krishna there with Arjuna, when you devotees from ISKCON Penang, as you become more and more advanced devotees, you hear Govinda Hari, as you become a more advanced devotee, then Krishna will come and give himself to you. And he'll become your servant. Or, not just exactly like just your servant, but certainly if you need something in your devotional service, he'll do it. He'll give it to you. This is Krishna. This is Krishna. He's very kind to his devotees. So therefore we should be devotees, and we should try and do as much devotional service as we can. And when we do the devotional service, we should really try to do it nicely, from the heart, with a real spirit of that I'm doing it for you, Krishna, and because it's for you and you're so special in my life, I am doing it as well as I can. Yes. You know, just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's the story of Maharaj Prataparudra. Lord Chaitanya refused to meet with him, even though Lord Chaitanya knew he is a devotee. It's not like he's just a total non-devotee. He's a devotee, but he's a devotee with a certain type of program in life which is really, not very suitable for devotees. Pound, shilling, and pence man, Lord Chaitanya referred to him. But when Lord Chaitanya heard that Maharaj Prataparudra had swept the road in front of the Rath Yatra cart for Lord Jagannath, then Lord Chaitanya agreed to meet him. And in fact, Lord Chaitanya met him almost immediately after. Very, very shortly after. He just came, and there was some transcendental arrangement. Maharaj Prataparudra met Lord Chaitanya. So anyway, devotees, I know you're all nice devotees, and you're doing your best. Keep it up, and pray to Krishna for mercy. Pray to Krishna. I would really like to become a qualified devotee, Krishna. You're a proper devotee. But I am just, who am I? I'm just a nobody. But you please help me so I can become a proper devotee and actually really serve you in a meaningful way, in a proper way, as you deserve. So there you go, devotees. Some thoughts about Krishna consciousness, and see what you can do. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. I wonder, are there any comments or questions? Because I heard Gaurachandra Prabhu told me that the devotees here in Penang are very intelligent and thoughtful. How do you switch the microphone on? Got it. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Question is that how did Krishna was a charioteer and he spoke in front of him as I am, only a devotee and architect as I am. But Krishna showed him in many, many ways, also his universal form and things later. But firstly, he has mentioned that in this chapter that he has as I am, But how does Arjuna understood that in that form? You explained it, but then Arjuna was so bewildered by that.
Okay. So what you mean is, I didn't quite get the exact point. Beta, ek minute.
Is that Arjuna had when Krishna said that you as I am understand as he is, but how did Arjuna understand him? Because Krishna is showing him as a Parthasarthi, as a charioteer. Then later, in his other forms, he showed his whole being.
Okay, I see. Okay, yeah, I think I got the basic idea. The thing is, Krishna and Arjuna, up until that time of the universal form, which is Anyway, just up to that time, they had a very close relationship. Friendly. It's Sakya Rasa. It's Sakya Rasa. Friendly relationship. And you know what Arjuna says to Krishna at the end of seeing the universal form. He says, I would sit with you and eat with you and joke with you like a friend. But now look at you in the universal form, like I made a big mistake. So that's what he was thinking at that point, actually. But then, the whole experience of seeing the universal form was so incredibly overwhelming. He almost died on the spot. So then he asked Krishna, please withdraw this form. So Krishna did that and showed the four-handed form. And then, can you show me your real form? And Krishna showed the two-armed form. But then, this is all before the battle. Although Krishna, because of their friendly relationship, Krishna is already the chariot driver. At the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is driving the chariot because, he's my friend. Krishna's thinking. Yeah. So he agreed to do that. So Arjuna, because Arjuna wanted to fight. So anyway, when Krishna withdrew the universal form and then withdrew even the four-armed form and showed his two-armed form, then Arjuna's state of mind, he became pacified. And again he went into the Sakya Ras mood. So, in other words, he did not then think, after seeing the universal form, after seeing it, he didn't think, I can't have Krishna driving the chariot for me because he's so great. Let me get someone else to drive the chariot. Okay. No, he went back into Sakya Rasa. And so then he was able to accept it, that Krishna, even though he's so great, but he's the chariot driver. It's related to Mother Yashoda seeing the universe in Krishna's mouth. She's parental. That's higher than Sakya Ras. But it's not that much higher. Yeah. So she saw, Balaram complained to Mother Yashoda, Krishna's eating dirt. So as a mother, a dutiful mother, she went and told Krishna, open your mouth. And she looked in his mouth and she didn't see any dirt. She just saw the universe. And she thought, wow. Or the Sanskrit form of wow. I don't know what the Sanskrit for wow is, but I'm sure they have one. Look at this. Look at this. And she had heard people saying, because sometimes different pastimes would happen with Krishna. He'd kill a demon, and someone would understand, wow, Krishna is God. So the word was going around Vrindavan to some degree that some people were thinking that Krishna's God. But Mother Yashoda, when she heard that Krishna's God, she always thought, no, he's not God, he's just my son. Well, these people are stupid. But now she's looking in his mouth and she thinks, oh, those people were right. He is God. And what an experience it was for her. Something similar. Stronger, but something similar to the experience of Arjuna. It was just a bewildering, amazing experience. So, but then she's looking at Krishna, looking in his mouth, just in astonishment. But then she looked in his eyes. And Krishna has these beautiful little eyes, little boy's eyes. So she's looking in the mouth, then she's looking in the eyes. And then her motherly mood became stimulated, little bit. Then back in the mouth, and again it's wow. And then back in the eyes, and then it's motherly mood. And the motherly mood is gradually increasing. So it's described that she reached a point in between the mood of shock, awe and reverence, in between that and full motherly mood. There was a transition. She ended up in the totally motherly mood. But on the way, she was in both moods. There was a mixture of the shock, the he's God mood, and also I'm his mother, he's my son mood. And it's described that when she was in that mood, in that mixed mood, she started thinking that, well, he's God and I'm his mother. That's really nice. It's really nice that I'm the mother of God. That's great. Not everyone is the mother of God. Yeah. So it's a mixture of he's God and I'm his mother and he's just a little boy. But then she gradually transitioned further until she reached the point that she was now looking back, remembering what she saw in his mouth, and she was thinking, I must have been hallucinating. Something like that. Because he's just a little boy. Yeah, it must have been. I just made a mistake. It couldn't really be like that. So something similar happened to Arjuna there. Hare Krishna. See, he told me the devotees here are very intelligent. And that was a very intelligent question. So, look, we're over time. Shiva Chaitanya Prabhu is going to scold me and, get cross with me. But let's quickly answer two more questions. I think, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, according to Prabhupada's purport, that one should think of Krishna or chant 24 hours a day. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Okay, how? I guess that's okay. How to do that? Yes, well, you know what Prabhupada said? Well, I'll tell you what not to do. Don't try to hear and chant 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't. You are not on that level. Forgive me for saying that. It may sound like I'm not humble. Well, I'm not humble, but anyway. Yeah, you are not on that level. We had a boy when I was in London, right when I joined the first year, there was one boy, he tried to do that. He stopped sleeping. He would sleep maybe an hour a day. Yeah, for about a week or something he did that. The only problem was, whenever he would sit down, he would immediately fall asleep, particularly after not sleeping more than an hour a day for 1 week. So we would go out distributing books every day, Monday to Saturday. And we would go in London they have the underground railway. So you can just quickly go to any part of this big city. So we'd all get on and we would go and get off and at some place and distribute books. He would get onto the train, sit down, fall asleep. gone. And when the train reached the end of the line, where they stop, the line finishes, and then they come back, they would wake him up and tell him, you got to get off the train, it's finished. So he'd get off, get on the train on the other side of the platform, and take the train back and fall asleep. And eventually he'd just give up and just get off wherever he woke up. So we're not on that level. So what you must do, what Prabhupada said, is that before you take rest at night, you must read Krishna book. And then you will dream about Krishna. That's what Prabhupada said. You must read Krishna book before you go to sleep, and then you dream about Krishna, and that way you think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Give it a try tonight. We'll check with you tomorrow how it goes. So here's a question. How will I know the soul of Putana? I think you mean, how will I know when I arrive in Goloka Vrindavan and Putana walks up to me, but now she's not Putana, she's a nanny in Goloka Vrindavan. How will I know she was Putana? Well, I'll tell you why. Because she remembers. Prabhupada made the point that when you go back to Godhead, you can remember all your lifetimes in this world. If you want to, you can do it. Now we can't. I mean, there's so many things in this lifetime we can't remember. What to speak of the lifetime before or the one before that. But yes, when you go back to Godhead, there's no more ignorance, no more forgetfulness. So you'll be able to remember who you were when you were in Penang, in ISKCON Penang. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya. Okay, Haribol.